Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Was Abandoned by Everyone and Fell in Love with Melascula Movie 1. Before we start, please go support EduardoKenpis for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistake in character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. Issei is despised by his family and friends. One time they betray him and Issei escapes to a place that not even Issei expected. That place is where he meets his partner again. Chapter 1. Our world is destroyed. A kingdom was seen all destroyed. There were bodies of women and children, even men. They are people who do not know how to defend themselves. Some were crushed, broken in two or in pieces. There was also a large area where there were bodies of knights who died. There were also bodies of fairies, giants, even red, blue and gray bodies which represented the demon race. All the bodies have fallen during the battle. There were also 9 people who represent the demon race and the 7 people who represent the 7 deadly sins and a survivor of the vampire clan. Both groups supported each other since the person who was facing was the Demon King. The Demon King was able to recover his 100% power since he took advantage of creating a body which carried the evil side of male, and many know him as Tartarus. Demon King, that's all you have, Meliodas, he said proudly. Meliodas, damn it, he said annoyed. King of demons, now die together with those traitors and the 7 deadly sins, he said annoyed as he raised his arms up and began to create his attack and threw it towards Meliodas. Meliodas, he was weakened and looks back and finds his demon comrade and then changes his gaze towards his wife, which she tried to get up with difficulty, and then looks towards his father. He tried to stop, but it was useless, but then he changes into shock since the one who is stopping the attack was his companion Capital Sins. What are they doing with that attack? They will not be able to survive, he said worried. Merlin, be happy with her, Captain, even though I'm in love with you, but I know that my love will not be reciprocated, she said calmly while looking at Meliodas and Elizabeth. Diane, be happy, Captain, although I will not die alone but with my fiancé and my friends, she said while crying. King, I was once rude to you, but even if we stay together until the end, although I won't die either, I'm only with my fiancé and my friends, the 7 deadly sins, he said determinedly while moving his hand, making his spear turn into a protective barrier and protect the clan from the demons along with Meliodas and Elizabeth. Meliodas, stop, remove that barrier, he said crying. Han, Captain, I know I was once rude to you. I also never noticed your pain, a pain of wanting to be with the person you loved the most, but because of that curse she wouldn't let you. I know you suffered for 3013 years. You suffered more than me, he said sadly, but now take care of her, Captain, he said while showing his smile and crying. But I won't die either, I'm only with Elaine, he said happily while looking at his wife. Elaine, be happy, she said with a smile. Escaner, Captain, I swore that day that this pathetic life which I tried to abandon, I decided to give my life and I would risk myself to protect my friends, but this time I, the great Escaner, will die along with you, proud to protect my best friend and the princess. Not only will I die, I will also die together with my friends. The 7 deadly sins, please be happy, he said calmly with pride. Meliodas and Elizabeth were left watching and crying as best friends will die. After the sins could no longer hold back by stopping the attack, causing them to receive the attack and explode on a large scale. After a few minutes the commandments, and Meliodas along with Elizabeth got up hard and saw that this world began to tear it apart. The demons tried to enter purgatory but could not since purgatory was sealed, and the commandments thought that the demon king had died, but even if they were already about to become extinct, and then they stayed with their great army which king gave his life to protect everyone with his spear. King, you always had such a noble heart, and you always cared about others, said a young man with colorful wings. Captain, what are we doing? He said seriously, but inside he was sad because he was going to die. Brother, what are we going to do? He said sadly. Just watching the earth being destroyed into pieces. TSK, we have always served him, and even if he pays us by expelling us from purgatory, he said seriously and angry. The 7 deadly sins finally disappeared. Forgive me for not being able to help save his life, King, Diane, Merlin, Escaner, Ban and his wife Elaine. The only ones who came out alive are Captain Meliodas, Princess Elizabeth and me, he said sadly in his mind while remembering his fallen companions. We have to open a portal, he said seriously. But brother, where will we go since purgatory is sealed by our damned father, and he even expelled us from purgatory, he said annoyed. Zeldred, I don't mean that, I mean another dimension, he said seriously. Captain, what you say is true, said a woman with an arm and leg covered in dark matter. If what we have to do is, he said seriously while closing his eyes, Melascula, you will take care of the portal, he said seriously. Melascula, yes, as you order, Captain, he said with a calm smile. The other commandments will have to give our magic power since that would take a great amount of magic power to open a portal to another dimension, he said seriously while listening to say yes. Elizabeth, you will support by healing the wounds when we take them to the other world, he said seriously. Elizabeth, of course Meliodas, she said determinedly. Meliodas, well, it's time to work, he said seriously. The commandment of faith was doing his job as his captain ordered while receiving the other magical power from his companions, but he realized that it would take time to open. Melascula, hurry up because the destruction of that world reaches us, he said tiredly while looking back and seeing how the lands rose. Melascula, you can shut up, sweetheart, she said annoyed. It took a few minutes until the portal opened. Meliodas, well, the portal opened, go as fast as possible, he said a little tired while he saw his people of the demonic race. Great demons. The great demons grab their leader and his companions, who was weakened, and they go straight to the portal, and when everyone entered the portal, the world had already been completely destroyed. To the other world. You see a land full of trees and you see that a portal opens and that is where the demons come out, and finally the commandments come out along with Elizabeth and Meliodas. Elizabeth, I was just beginning to heal the commandments because of exhaustion. What is that place? He said calmly. This world feels many very strange presences, he said calmly. I don't know why I feel like we're calling your attention. It would be better if you created a barrier, he said calmly while creating a barrier, covering a good amount of land. Meliodas, whatever it is, I want you to go investigate, because one day they might give us a lot of problems, he said seriously. Commandments, yes, he said firmly and seriously. The commands were withdrawn to investigate about that world which they arrived at. Chapter 2, The Black Sheep. My name is Issei Hayadu. I am the second son of the Hayadu family, and I am 6 years old. I am the most clueless. I have 2 brothers, one of them is a sister, and her name is Minako Hayadu. The third daughter is 5 years old, and the oldest is called Ayato. The oldest son is 7 years old. Both were highly appreciated by my parents, and I was just a shadow that they didn't even talk to. Then years passed until my brother met a girl named Rias Gremery and Sona Citri. They were both 6 years old. Tell me, Ayato, do you believe in the supernatural? She said calmly. Ayato, what do you mean? He said curiously. Mina, don't laugh Sona, she said confused. Sona/Rias, because we are demons, she said it would be. After Rias and Sona told her that they were demons and also decided who the entourage would be with when Rias and Sona have their room, Minako was chosen by Sona and Ayato by Rias. After they had chosen, they returned to their house, which she decided to also tell her parents, which they were happy about while she forgot her third son. But Rias chose Issei out of pity. So a few years passed, Rias and Sona were given their pieces, which Rias reincarnated as Ayato, and at the time of reincarnation she realizes that Ayato had a sacred gear who was the bearer of security, and Issei reincarnated him out of pity, but in the end nothing came out about his power, and Minako was reincarnated by Sona who makes her power come to light and have a sacred gear who was the bearer of the Dragon Queen Tama, and also the years passed which Rias and Sona were increasing their entourage. All the girls spoke normally to Issei, and therefore Sona had 3 people who occupied the pawns. A girl named Ruruko occupied 3 mutant pieces, a blonde named Saji Genchuro occupied 2 mutant pieces, and finally Minako occupied 3 mutant pieces. But Issei tried hard to be at the level of his friends. But what he did not realize is that they spoke badly to him. Yuto, I don't know why Bucho reincarnated that weakling. He fought, he said annoyed. Kaneko, it's very annoying to feel his weak presence, she said seriously. Akeno, I don't even know why he's with us, she said seriously. After a talk by Ayato's friends about how many despised him, when Issei's parents and siblings despised him, only 2 people were there to help Issei, which were his grandparents. Years passed, everyone went to Kua's high school, the same thing happened to everyone, they despised him but Issei was no longer interested. The day passed where Rias Gremry's fiancé arrived to take Rias to get married but the proud pawn did not allow him, and Rias took advantage of declaring him a gamer rating which Reiser accepted and gave him Sanchez in 10 days. Rias Gremry decided to train her entourages but also took Issei which he also put to train things that gained a bit of magic. After 10 days the gamer rating arrived which they fought hard but lost the match. Rias, furious, blamed Issei. Rias, did you see what you did to me, Issei? She said angrily. Issei, he was just silent. Rias, you deserve a punishment for being weak, guys, take care of him and get him out. I don't want to see him here, she said annoyed. The entourage obeyed, they took out and gave Issei his punishment. Queen Akeno threw lightning, the Kaneko tower hit him causing his bones to crack very badly. Knight Kiba pierced his back with several swords and finally Asia healed him to continue with her torture but after healing her they did not stop torturing him but continued hitting him, but their Kaneko had to lower her strength a little so that he was only left with bruises and body pain, and Kiba only gave him cuts like on the back, chest, leg and arms. After the torture Sona realizes about Issei and decides to help him along with her queen. Student Council Club. The 2 black-haired girls are seen healing Issei and then decide to wake him up. Sona, Issei, wake up, she said seriously. Issei, where am I? He said confused. Sona, she's on the student council, she said seriously. Issei, I see, he said calmly, thanks Kai. He couldn't finish the sentences because someone came in. Kaicho, why is he with that pathetic guy? He said arrogantly. Sona just gets angry and sees the rest of Sona's entourage entering. Who is he? Said a curious brunette girl. Sona, Genshuro, this is the last time you call Hayato that, she said angrily. Why do you tell me it's the opposite? He can tarnish your name like the great Sona Citri, he said angry and proud. Saji, calm down, said a girl with long black hair and wearing glasses which is also serious. Issei, well, I have to go, Kaicho, and thanks for everything, he said calmly as he headed to the door. Saji, and don't come back here stupid, he said angrily and arrogantly making his king upset. Sona, Saji, angry scream. Saji, tell me, he said calmly. Sona, you are forbidden to speak to him like that, you heard, she said angrily. Saji, but he couldn't finish because he felt a pain in his chest. Sona, this is your punishment, remember that I can control your pieces, she said angrily. Kaicho, if you don't mind, could you tell us the reason why Hayato Issei gets hurt, said a white-haired girl. Sona, haha. And that's why they treat him like that, she said curiously. Sona, that's right, Momo. I just said the thing about the supernatural, but I never imagined that Rias and the Hayato family would start treating him like that, she said calmly. Momo, you were there too, why didn't I help you? She said with her eyes slightly closed. Sona, believe me, I wanted to make him part of my entourage because I had already joined him to Rias's entourage, she said calmly. Saji, even if you make him part of us, we will never accept him, he said with difficulty due to the pain. Sona, you know, I regret having chosen you as my pawn, she said seriously and angry while raising her hand, and a magic circle comes out with an image of a pawn and begins to enclose little by little until it becomes a fist while her pawn suffers in pain. So I ask all of you that no one treat him like that or you will see it with me. Even you're mine, she said seriously. All of Sona's entourage except for the pawn Saji, yes, he said calmly. Mina, how I regret making you suffer, brother, she said sadly in her mind. Chapter 3. The First Encounter of Commandments and Demons. The next day the sun illuminated the city. In the room of the Hayato family house, Chestnut was sleeping, but when the sun shines on his face he begins to wake up. Issei, how I would like to go destroy the sun, he said a little upset, while stretching. The chestnut got up to go to breakfast, but when he came down he saw his parents and brothers eating and he sat down without saying anything. Minako, Issei, I'm very sorry, I know I mistreated you badly and I was able to react thanks to Sona who scolded me, she said in her mind. A silence took over while Issei was eating. He was the first to finish and leave, and then Minako, once they finished eating, Issei left to go to school, but he knew he was being followed by someone. Issei, can you tell me why you follow me if you take the fastest way to school? He said calmly while looking at his sister. Mina, well, it's very early, she said a little nervously. Issei, it's not early, it's already late. Tell me what you want, he said not seriously. Minako, well, I wanted to talk to you, she said a little sadly. Issei, and what do you want to talk to me about? He said not seriously. Mina, well, I want to fix my mistake for hitting you, but I still want you to forgive me, she said sadly while she is about to cry. Issei, that's what you wanted to tell me, he said seriously. Mina, but I still want you to forgive me, she said while crying. Issei, there is no forgiveness, he said seriously as he left his sister crying. Mina, forgive me, little brother, she said while crying. Once Mina released what she had kept inside of the pain she caused Issei when they were children. An unknown place. Two people were seen heading to a place. Damn it, Galva, you had to say that, he said angrily. Galen, calm down, remember that this world is not the same as ours, she said calmly while floating. Galen, I want to kill, he shouted while raising his spear. Memory of Galen and the girl. Everything was seen with a serious face since someone called the 10 Commandments through the mind. So you're saying that those humans don't know that supernatural beings exist, said a blonde boy seriously. That's right, said a purple-haired boy with glasses calmly. Not only the supernaturals, we also saw some races that are called dragons, said a bored girl. Dragons, that sounds weird, Deriri, said a bored boy with red armor and a spear. Deriri, not only that, Galen, we have also seen the demons of this dimension, and let me tell you that they are weak, she said bored. So it seems that they hate each other despite their power levels, he said seriously while lightly pulling his mustache. Meliodas, then let no one attack any of those races without knowing their origins, he said seriously. End of memory. Galen, that's boring, he said bored while recharging his spear. She just limits herself to putting her hand in front of her face while moving her head from side to side. With Issei. He entered his classroom while ignoring the mockery they made and decided to wait until recess time, and he goes as always to the school roof to eat. Issei. He was silent while having a piece of taco in his mouth while looking at the mountains. How strange, I felt an unknown presence, and at the same time it is dangerous, he said in his mind. In the hidden club. The group of people with serious faces could be seen. Rias, are you sure you felt that presence? She said it would be. Kaneko, yes, I felt a presence like a high-class demon, she said seriously. Rias, okay, let's go, she said seriously. 10. Akeno, I already told Sona. Rias, she said seriously. Rias, I never asked you to do it, Akeno, she said angrily. Akeno, don't be overconfident, maybe there's someone stronger, she said seriously. Rias, TKS, she just stayed quiet. After discussing, Rias and her entourage went to the place where they were going to meet Sona again, and the place was the park, and once arriving she saw the park that was totally alone, but another magic circle also appeared, which was the Citri clan. Rias, what are you doing, Sona? She said in a serious voice. Sona, I heard about that situation we are in. She said it would be. Rias, TKS, he just gets angry. Kaneko, here it comes, she said as she got into combat ready to attack. So those strange people are demons, he said seriously. Rias, who are you? She said seriously and acting superior. Ha ha ha, so you act all proud. Very well, let me introduce myself. I am Galen, to whom the commandments of truth have been granted, he said with an evil smile. Rias, I'm not interested in your name. If you're a renegade demon, I'll eliminate you, she said seriously while increasing her power and attacking him. Sona, she just limited herself to putting her hand in front of her face and moving it from one side to the other, along with her entourage minus Saji. The Gremry group thought that they had already eliminated him, but then their face changed to terror as they saw that the person. "Galen, that attack only hurt my ribs," he said calmly. Everyone was surprised, but then they got ready to attack, but the first to attack was Galen. Galen, he just raised his spear and made a horizontal cut, making it come out like a cut in the air. They all took out their wings to avoid receiving the attack. Issei, "Damn, that thing is so strong," he said, surprised while dodging. "You weakling have to face that thing alone," said a short girl. Issei, "I don't have to take orders from you, Tujo," he said seriously. "Kaneko, then get out of my sight," she said seriously while kicking Issei in the chest. Issei, "Gwa," he spits out a little blood and falls, making Issei roll on the ground for a few minutes until he reaches his end. Croc. I only heard a loud thud and a groaning sound. "Kaya," she said while holding back her moaning. Issei, "What is that?" "It's soft and round, and it's also smooth," he said in his mind, but when he pressed it he heard a girl's voice. Kaya, hold back moaning. Issei just raises his face and sees what he was pressing and then presses again. "Kaya," he said with his face all red while moaning. "Issei, are you the one I'm touching?" he said surprised, and then looks at the girl's face, which was surprised by her beauty. He was seeing a girl in her one-piece white suit, and she was wearing a pink bra and her hair was pink. She just opens her eyes and sees the boy with an angry look, which shows that the boy still had his hand on his chest. Issei squeezes it again. "Kaya," she said while moaning, "leave me alone." She screamed angrily and blushed while punching him in the face, causing the boy to fly into a tree and hit his head, causing him to become unconscious. Issei remained lying in the place where he received the blow to his head while the girl remained watching and was going to approach but was stopped by the voice of one of her companions. "Galen, I finally found you, we have to go," he said, bored. "Galen, where were you?" she said angrily. "Galen, nah, I only met those pathetic people who call themselves demons," he said, bored. Her eyes were closed as she got angry. "Galen, you better not have fought with them," she said angrily. "Galen, because," he said, bored. "Do whatever you want if you want to get what you deserve from the captain. Let's go," she said angrily while crossing a portal with her partner. Then an hour passed when that problem happened while Issei was just waking up and was confused. "Issei, what happened?" he said confused. "And now that I remember, I met that girl and she hit me hard," he said surprised as he remembered what happened. "It would be better to go to the club or else she will be upset with me again," he said calmly as he headed to that place. A cult club. A group of people were seen with angry faces while waiting for someone. "Rias, where's that damn thing going to be?" he said angrily. The sound of opening the door is heard. "Kiba, wow, you came, huh?" he said seriously. Issei, sigh and enter. "Rias, tell me where the hell you were," she said angrily. Issei, "First of all, she was the one who hit me," he said angrily while pointing at the albino. Kaneko gets angry and kicks him, causing Issei to fly towards the door. "Rias, don't make excuses, you deserve punishment," she said angrily while a magic circle of the Gremry clan appeared in her hand, and next to her was Ayato, who already had his red gauntlet activated. "Issei, better someone ends my life," he said in his mind while cursing himself. After an hour, the brown-haired boy is seen arriving at his room with his entire body injured, and he throws himself onto his bed. "Issei, how do you hate them?" he said angrily as he closed his eyes to wait for a new day. Chapter 4: Two Enemies Meet. In the house of the Hayadu family in the fourth, you see that a boy wakes up and gets up in pain. Issei, "Ouch, that hurts," he said in pain. "I'm going to go change," he said, bored. "Today is Saturday, I don't want to be home," he said, bored. After Issei changed and went down to breakfast and saw everyone sitting eating, Issei, without saying anything, went to the kitchen to serve himself food and then sit down. A few minutes of silence passed, and the first one to finish eating was Issei. He got up and then went to his room. "Issei, let's see which one I took now," he said calmly. "I took that," he said calmly while putting his books in his backpack. in the underworld. The lair of the 10 Commandments. The group was seen all serious looking at two people. Meliodas, what did I say, Galen Melascula? He said seriously. Melascula, it wasn't my fault, it was that idiot's fault, she said angrily while pointing at that person. Galen, I was bored, he said bored. Zeldred, remember that this world is no longer similar to ours. If we raise a little of our power, they will undoubtedly look for us, he said seriously. Meliodas, how many were there who saw them? He said seriously. Melascula, they were a group of demons, but those demons' magic power is very weak. With that power they are able to compete with a grey demon, she said seriously. Droll, well, it's just like Melascula says, but we investigated about those creatures called dragons. They are stronger than those demons. Their magic power is capable of facing the Albions and perhaps the elite demons, he said calmly, causing everyone to be surprised. Gloxina, Droll is right, he said calmly. Elizabeth, yes, but even if we can't let our guard down, she said calmly. Meliodas, whatever happens, don't try to get his attention anymore. You two report what happened again. I'll take it out on you, he said seriously. All yes, they said seriously. With Issei. He was walking towards a park that is located almost on a mountain, and when he arrived he sat on the grass and put on his headphones to listen to music and read. With a sigh. She was walking in a forest with a sigh. Melascula, ha ha ha, sigh. I'd better get away from him since I don't want to be scolded by him again, she said dejectedly as she flew and sat on the grass, still watching the city from the park, but she didn't notice the person next to her. The place was very quiet, and the girl wanted to look away and realized that there was a person sitting a few meters next to her, things that surprised her. Issei looked to the other side as he felt that someone was looking at him, and when they saw him they were also surprised. Issei/Melascula, both screamed. Melascula, who are you? She said seriously while attacking him with a hand of darkness. Issei. He tried to dodge the attack but received the attack and flew towards a tree where he received a tremendous blow to the head after colliding with the tree. Melascula. He approaches the body and she bends down and hits him in the face with a stick. I think he's already dead, she said calmly while hitting him with the stick. It took a few minutes for Issei to wake up, but while Issei was unconscious, Melascula tied Issei up with his darkness and hung him from a tree upside down. Issei. He is waking up and realizes that he is hanging from a tree. But what the hell is going on? What is that thing? He said, trying to break it, but he couldn't, and he starts to move like a fish out of water. It's obvious that you won't be able to break it, she said seriously. Issei, who are you? He said seriously. My name is Melascula. I am the commandment of faith, she said seriously. Issei, a commandment, he said confused. Wait, aren't you the girl from that day when I touched your breasts? He said surprised. Melascula, she is just silent while looking at Issei with a blush and anger. Issei realizes what he said. Hell, I'm dead, he said with fear. Melascula, Kaya, how did you remember like that way? She screamed while one arm covered her breasts and the other hand slapped her. Issei, ouch, that hurt, he said in pain while his cheeks were red. Melascula, she stared. I have something to ask you, she said seriously. Issei, ask everything and I won't tell you, he said seriously. Melascula, since when did humans stop knowing about the existence of demons? She said seriously. Issei, he was surprised by what he said. Since the beginning of humanity. Why do you say that? He said calmly. Melascula, since the beginning of humanity, he said with his eyes half closed. Issei, they don't know the history of humanity and the biblical facts, he said surprised. Melascula, biblical features, said curiously. Issei, who are you and those black lines that are? He said curiously. Melascula releases Issei, causing him to fall and hit his head. Issei, ouch, he said in pain. Hey, what's wrong? He said a little angry. Melascula, we are not from this world, we are from another world, he said calmly. Oh no, I was so stupid, surely Meliodas will kill me, he said nervously in his mind. Issei, I've never heard of that from another world, he said, surprised. Melascula, but I still want to know why humans don't know about demons, she said curiously. Issei ha 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 sigh. Well, I'll tell him, he said calmly. Melascula, she just sits there listening to him. Issei, well, you see, the beginning of humanity in heaven is the God of the Bible. He was the one who created the seraphim, he said calmly. Melascula, seraphim, said in mind. Issei, and then I created humans. During the creation of humans, an angel went against his creator, and that angel's name was Lucifer, and from the day that Lucifer fell from heaven becoming the demon king, he was the one who tempted humans, who made the god become furious and decided to go and eliminate evil. Meanwhile, some angels who committed sins such as lust, pride, and envy were expelled from heaven and sent to hell, but not as demons, but as fallen angels, he said calmly. Melascula, so the demons of this dimension are created through angels, huh? She said surprised. Issei, that's right, and by the way, I already told you my part. Now answer my question, how did you get here and how were demons created? He said curiously. Melascula, well, here we arrived through a portal that I made along with the other demons, and that they were created through a god, but not a god like from this dimension, but a god, or rather the demon king, and that demon king was the one who created us, she said seriously. Issei, I mean a demon god, he said without believing it. Melascula, well, I have to go, she said calmly, but before that, save what I said or else, she said calmly while closing her eyes. I will kill you, she said with a macabre smile. Issei, if they are okay, he said with fear. That girl is scary, he said in his mind with fear. When Melascula left, Issei was very thoughtful, which caught his attention about another world. Issei, do you think there is a world other than us? He said thoughtfully. Besides, she is beautiful, he said in his mind while blushing a little. Wait, what am I thinking about? He said in his mind while refusing. With Melascula. She was flying towards the forest while sighing. Melascula, haha. It's obvious that he didn't tell lies, Melascula, he said seriously. Melascula, she realizes that someone spoke to her and turns around. Galen, it's you, where were you? She said surprised. Galen, since you separated I have been looking for you and I found you with that human, and I also think you got some valuable information, he said calmly while reading on the tree. Melascula, wait, all he said was, she said surprised. Galen, it was true, I was listening to what he said, and if it was a lie you already know what would happen if you tell lies, he said not seriously. Let's go, we have to meet with them again. They called us a few minutes ago while you were thinking, he said calmly. Melascula, if we go, I think we'll take too long here, she said not seriously. In the Den of Commandments. He saw everyone gathered together while one asked him. Meliodas, well, they found more information, he said seriously. Grey Road, no captain, we only found demons, dragons and humans, but not the clan of the goddesses, he said calmly while nodding. Galen, well, we found something better than those, he said calmly while calling his attention. Melascula knows that, he said calmly. Meliodas, speak, he said seriously. Melascula, well, you see, she said calmly. While Melascula told him what the brown-haired boy said, many were surprised since the demons were created from being angels and about humanity because they did not know the supernatural. Gloxina, and how will we know that he didn't lie? She said calmly. Galen, I answer that. I was there while I listened to what he said to Melascula. Do you know who I love or have you forgotten me? He said calmly. Galver, seeing how you are, almost no one asks you for being a weak demon like water, he said calmly. Galen, I heard you, damn it, he said angrily. Elizabeth, Galver, can you pass the memory of Melascula when I talk to that person, she said calmly. Galver, yes, he said calmly. Melascula, if you happen to Gowder, she said angrily. Gowder, it's late, I've already seen him, he said calmly. Melascula, yes you will be, she said angrily. Gowder, okay there it goes, he said calmly. Everyone received the memory of Melascula when she was talking to the chestnut tree. Meliodas, so it's that boy you talked to, he said seriously. Well, with that we're done. Retirement, he said seriously. "Oh, yes," they said calmly as they left. "Meliodas, what do you think about that boy?" he said calmly while looking at his wife. "Elizabeth, I feel like that boy is hiding something in his heart," she said a little calmly. "Meliodas, I hope they don't bring us any trouble," he said calmly. With Issei. The brown-haired boy entered his house and went to eat and then to bathe. When he finished bathing, he decided to go to his room to sleep. "Issei, I hope it's not heavy tomorrow," he said, bored. That's how the chestnut tree fell asleep to wait another day without knowing that from tomorrow onwards his days would become crazy and full of adventures. Chapter 5: Suspicion. One day after Issei and Melascula met for the first time, Issei promised not to tell him about the conversation. Keeping his word, the Gremry and Citri groups were ordered to find him, those who are said to be demons. "Issei, how boring it is," he said, bored while reading on the table from his seat. Issei had to wait a long time for his classes until it was time to leave, so he went home to go to sleep. In the lair of the 10 Commandments. A girl was totally bored, so she decided to go for a walk for a while, but she came up with a crazy idea. "Melascula, and if I go to that place, I don't think anyone will notice," she said thoughtfully. "I'd better go since I'm bored," she said, bored while creating a portal. After Melascula creates a portal, she enters without hesitation, and when she finishes passing through the portal, she sees the back of the brown-haired boy sitting down, and decides to play a joke on him. Melascula, smiling evilly, she stretches a line of darkness, and then passes it over her neck but very close without touching it, and squeezes it. Issei. He realizes that something pressed and decided to try to remove it, but he was losing air. Melascula, puff, ha 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 ha. She started laughing while putting her hand on her stomach. Issei, eh ha ha ya jaja. He tried to breathe calmly. "Ichiwai, what's wrong with you?" annoyed cry. Melascula, "I scared you," she said mockingly. Issei, "That was no joke, that almost killed me," he said angrily. "Finally let me read, and what more do you want?" he said not seriously as he sits on the grass and starts reading. Melascula comes closer, and what the chestnut reads. "That's what?" she said curiously. Issei, "That's a book," he said calmly. Melascula takes the book from him and starts looking at it. Issei, "Hey, don't take my book from me," he said a little angry, but he is hung upside down again by the darkness. "Put me down," he said not seriously while crossing his arms. Melascula, she ignored him as she looked at the book. "What are you doing with that thing?" she said curiously. Issei, "It's so I can learn," he said calmly. Melascula, "So many letters," she said curiously. Issei, "Yes, now put me down," he said seriously. Melascula, "Tell me what it's about," she said calmly while looking at the brown-haired boy. Issei, "If in exchange you put me down," she said seriously. Melascula, "Well," she said as if nothing happened while she drops Issei. Issei, "You had to do it," he said a little angry while lying on the ground. That's how Issei was teaching Melascula about the books. He also taught the others about the books that he brought. After Issei showed him the books, Melascula decided to talk about the commandments of his companions. They were there all afternoon. Both of them began to talk quietly until nightfall. Issei, "It's already night, I have to go," he said calmly. Melascula, "You're leaving now," she said calmly. Issei, "Maybe we'll see each other another day," he said calmly. Melascula, "Yes, that's true, then we'll see each other tomorrow," she said calmly as she stood up and created a portal. Issei, "Yes, we'll see each other," he said calmly as he watched the girl go through the portal. "Well, it's time for me to go to that stupid house," he said, bored and annoyed. Far from where Issei and Melascula were sitting, a girl was spying on him, and without hesitation she retreats to her king. Days have passed since Issei and Melascula met. Both began to talk about things and began to gain confidence in each other, but both did not realize that a person was spying on them. A cult club. A black film was seen sitting at a desk while listening. Sona, "So Issei is talking to them," she said seriously. Momo, "Yes, Kaicho," she said seriously. A cult club. Everyone was upset because they hardly saw that weak person according to them. Rias, Aya, where did that bastard go? She said angrily. Kaneko, what if we look for him and kill him? She said seriously. Ayato, she's right, we have to do it, he said angrily. Kiba, I think the same, he said seriously. After both clans became suspicious, they decided to make a plan towards Issei until one day Issei was sitting in his seat eating but was interrupted by a girl. Issei-senpai, he said with a funny voice. Issei looks at the place where he was called and sees a brunette with pigtails. But it's Ruruko, he said calmly. Ruruko, Issei-senpai, I was sent to look for you because Kaicho wanted to talk to you, she said calmly. Issei, well, it's better to be called by your king than that, he said calmly. Ruruko, she understood what that meant. Okay, follow me, she said calmly. After the Kohai looked for his senpai at the request of his president, and after he found him, she guided his club. It took a few minutes to get to the entrance, and the brunette decided to play. Tsubasa, she opens the door when she sees her companions let her in. Ruruko, Kaicho, I brought what you felt me, she said calmly. Issei, he was standing and looking at the club. He realized that 2 members were missing and he knew who it was. Sona, well done, Ruruko said calmly. Well, we will go to the very serious topic. Issei said seriously. You were in contact with them, said seriously. Issei, he just stared. Sona, don't worry, Minako and Genshuro won't come here today, and besides, they don't trust us. Do you think we'll tell the Maos? Everything we talk about will stay locked up here, so tell me, have you met with them? Right. She said it would be. Issei, ha 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 ha, sigh. I hope you forgive me, he said in his mind. If I have met them, he said not seriously, but I can't tell you much since I promised not to tell anyone or else they would get upset, he said seriously. Momo, are they? He said doubtfully. More, he said a little doubtfully. Issei, yes, he said lightly. Tsubaki, how strong if they? Said seriously. Issei, from what she told me, she has a captain who is too powerful, even they fear him, he said unseriously. Tsubasa, even there are some stronger ones, how strong can they get? He said with little fear. Issei, I don't know, he said calmly. I hope no one tells him that or else they will bring him problems against their Sona race, he said seriously. Sona, don't worry, what we talked about here would stay here, just like you who heard that, keep it a secret. She said it would be. Citri entourage, yes, Kaicho said serious. Issei, well, I have to go, he said seriously. Who else spied on me? Sona, well, it was Momo, she said calmly. Issei, well, see you there, he said calmly. Sona, see you later, Issei, she said calmly. After Issei says goodbye to Sona, she was waiting for him to leave completely until her queen spoke. Tsubaki, Kaicho, why didn't you forbid Issei to talk to them? She said seriously. Sona, just for one thing, if they invite Issei to join them, it's better to be in their hands than our faction, she said it would be. But that depends if no one dares to give him problems, she said it would be. Momo, Kaicho, what would happen if someone gave them trouble? You would go against them, he said it would be. Sona, I don't know, but that will depend on destiny, she said it would be. Citri entourage, they just limited themselves to watching it. With Issei. He was arriving at the place where they always met, and when he arrived he saw the girl sitting. Issei, hello Melascula, he said calmly. Melascula sees Issei and gets up. Wow, this time you took too long, she said, a little angry. Issei, sorry, they called me, he said pleading. Melascula, well, she said calmly, and what book did you bring? She said calmly. Issei, I brought the book of the history of how life developed according to science, he said calmly. Occult club. Everyone had a serious face. Rias, where could that bastard be? She said seriously. Ayato, could it be that he knows about those demons? He said seriously. Maybe he is giving out information, he said annoyed. Kaneko, maybe we'll accuse Mao-sama of being a spy, she said neutrally. Kiba, we have to kill him, nobody cares about him anymore, he said seriously. Chapter 6, Issei meets the 10 Commandments. in the lair of the commandments. Everyone was seen gathered except one. They were all talking about a topic of how to try to live without being discovered. Meliodas, one is missing. Where is he? He said not seriously. Grey Road, missing Melascula, what is she doing lately? She's been acting very strange, he said calmly. Elizabeth, could it be that she is with that boy they mentioned? She said calmly. Deriri, you have to grind it, she said bored. Monspeet, you say you want to kill him, he said while pulling his mustache. Meliodas, when she eats, call her. I want to talk to her, he said not seriously. After they finished that meeting, everyone decided to go to their place where they belong, that is, their house. Handsome, for some reason he was sitting on a rock until he saw the girl. Galen, Melascula, he said calmly while they spoke to him. Melascula, do what you want, Galen, she said not seriously. Galen, Meliodas wants to talk to you, he said calmly. Meliodas already found Melascula, he said through his mind. Meliodas, well, it's time for everyone to gather, said through the mind. Command, yes, Captain, they responded immediately and went to that place. Everyone had already gathered, and in front of the commandments was Melascula, and in front of Melascula was Zeldred, Gelda, Meliodas, and Elizabeth. Meliodas, I see you've met that boy many times, he said not seriously while standing with his arms crossed. Melascula, I didn't know what to say. Zeldred, tell us, he said unseriously. Melascula, well, yes, she said with little fear. Meliodas, I want to talk to him, so he can track me down, he said unseriously. Everyone was silent. No one knew what to say after Meliodas' words. Zeldred, brother, are you sure you want to bring him here even though you know he could be a spy? He said seriously. Meliodas, we'll see him here, he said seriously. If he's a spy, we'll kill him, he said seriously. Melascula, she remains silent while listening to what he says. I'm okay if it is an order from the captain, I will do it, he said it would be little. After Melascula came out, one of them asked the reason that Meliodas said. Elizabeth, tell me, Meliodas, why did you say that to Melascula? She said calmly. Meliodas, I don't even know why I told him that, he said unseriously. Galver, could it be that you want to talk to him? He said with a smile. At the academy. The brown-haired boy was seen sitting in the schoolyard until one of the girls arrived and sat next to him. Tsubasa, sitting here is very peaceful, and being under a tree while enjoying the air, she said calmly. Issei, tell me Tsu-san, he said calmly. Tsubasa smiles because she likes me to call her that nickname. Tell me Issei, she said calmly. Issei, what would you do if you were in my place being treated that way? He said calmly. Tsubasa, I would run away and look for a new home, she said lightly. Issei, let me tell you what I thought, but because of the pieces I no longer have freedom, he said seriously. Tsubasa, but by running away from her, you can be protected by the Citri clan, she said calmly. Issei, but even if Sona receives the order to eliminate me, he said seriously. Tsubasa, it doesn't matter, you will always have my help and from the others except those two. At first he said happily, but when he said those two he said with seriousness and hate. Issei, he just smiles since he has friends who appreciate him. How he would like to take Genshuro's place, he said not seriously. Tsubasa, I wish I had never met that useless guy who only thinks of one goal, she said not seriously. Issei, a goal, he said seriously, that is what that idiot wants, he curious saidly. Tsubasa, having Kaisho as his partner, he said not seriously. Issei, don't tell me that, said Neutral. Tsubasa/Issei, they look at each other and start laughing. Issei, as if that idiot could, he said with a smile. Tsubasa, yes, he said with a smile. So it happened. Issei and Tsubasa were talking until the time came and they went to their classes until they waited for the time to leave. Issei as always goes to the same place, and when he arrives he realizes that she was already here. Issei, hi Melascula, I see you arrived early, he said happily. Melascula, hi Issei, I see you took a while, she said calmly. Issei, but it's early, he said calmly, So what are we going to talk about? He said calmly. Melascula, Issei, what I'm going to talk about is something very serious, she said seriously. My captain gave me the order to take you before him, she said seriously. Issei, don't you trust me? Do you think I'm talking about you? He said, a little distrustfully. Melascula, I don't know, I just know that he wants to talk to you, she said seriously. Issei, okay, I'll be free on Saturday, so what time? He said calmly. Melascula, okay, on Saturday at 12 noon, don't forget, she said, not serious. After agreeing, they both go to their homes. Issei had to wait until Saturday. Occult Club. Everyone from the club was seen except Issei since they are making a plan. Ayato, where could that idiot be? He's almost not home anymore, he said seriously. Rias, it seems that I will have to do something. Kaneko, you who are good at spying on him, tomorrow look for that useless guy, she said seriously. Kaneko said nothing and just agreed. Akeno, why don't we continue the idea to eliminate that useless guy? She said seriously. So it was that group of crazy people were doing the planned things that will bring their consequences. On Saturday at noon, the brown-haired boy was seen with his backpack. He wondered if it was okay to carry a backpack with things like food and water just in case, and he went straight to the place where they always see each other. Melascula, I thought you weren't going to arrive early, she said with a smile. Issei, I have nothing to do and I don't want to be at home, he said bored. Melascula, okay, let's go, she said not seriously while creating the portal. Issei, he felt nervous. Of course he didn't show his nerves in front of her since for the first time he will meet someone who shouldn't even know him as a deity. Melascula had finished creating the portal and told Issei to go first, but he said ladies first, but she doesn't get angry, and with her dark matter she creates a hand and grabs things from Issei that he was surprised and throws him inside the portal, and she enters. Issei, lying on the ground with a bump on his head, that hurt, he said painfully while rubbing his head. Melascula, that is my land where we are hiding, she said calmly. Issei, wait a minute, isn't this the underworld? He said surprised as he looked around. Melascula, so you've already been here in the underworld, eh? She said not seriously. Meliodas, I brought it, we're going there, she said through her mind while she was mentioning it to him. Meliodas, okay, Trilo, here everyone is gathered, he said not seriously. Melascula, come follow me, she said calmly. Issei, okay, he said calmly as he continued, wait a moment, what are those things, he said, a little scared when he saw the creatures walking and another flying. Melascula, they are demons of a different kind, she said calmly. Issei, wow, that's what demons from another dimension are like. You can see that they are stronger than the demons here. He said calmly, they are different kinds. He said calmly. Melascula, if the demons that are white and blue are of low class, the red ones are of medium class and the others are of high class, and also the white ones that are tall are Albions and are stronger than the tall ones but are weaker than the commandments, she said calmly. Issei gets nervous when he heard that the greatest was the weakest before the commandments, then that means that the commandments were the ones who commanded those demons, he said surprised. Melascula, that's right, she said calmly, okay, let's go, he's waiting for us, she said calmly. Issei, yes, I'm coming, he said calmly. After taking a few more minutes, Melascula finally arrives at the place with Issei, but for some reason Issei couldn't stop sweating until they arrived in front of the 10 Commandments. Melascula, well, here is what you asked for, she said not seriously. Meliodas, well, he said not seriously, let me introduce myself, I am Meliodas, the captain of the 10 Commandments, he said not seriously as he increased his power a little. Issei falls to the ground while sweating and breathing heavily due to the atmosphere since there are 10 strong presences. Elizabeth, let me breathe easy guys, she told a little worried. Everyone listened and lowered their power so that the brown-haired boy could stand up. Meliodas, who are you? He said unseriously. Issei, he just stared at the 9 commandments, my name is Issei, he said a little scared. Change to Esterasa with Meliodas and Melascula with Elizabeth. Zeldred, have you met Melascula several times? Tell me, did she give you anything or talk about us? He said not seriously, lying down as the aforementioned person flinches a little. Issei, well, the truth is that he did talk to me about you, but I promised him not to give that information to anyone, he said, a little scared and nervous. Everyone was waiting for a reaction, but nothing happened. Meliodas, I see you're not lying, he said unseriously. Issei, how do you know I'm not lying, he said nervously and with a little fear. Meliodas, Gallant is here. If you lie you turn into stone, and as the result is that you didn't turn, that means they haven't told anyone yet, he said not seriously. Issei is totally surprised since they were stronger than Issei thought, not even what kind of future Issei will have after meeting the 10 Commandments. Chapter 7. We begin the plan and the birth of a commandment. After hearing about the curse of turning Issei into stone, he was still afraid since he had never felt a presence of that height. Issei, everyone has the power that can even be at the level of Lucifer, he said in his mind with fear. They spent hours talking, Issei slowly getting used to their power until it was time to leave. Issei, well, I don't want to have problems, but I have to go, he said calmly. Melodies, well, it's okay if you want to come back again, don't hesitate, he said calmly. Issei, that's easy to say, said in mind. Melascula takes Issei back to the world. Issei says goodbye to her and then heads home. Occult Club. Everything is preparing for the best until Rias decides to speak. Rias, well, we'll start the plan. We'll kill that idiot and tell the mouse who went against us. She said it would be Akeno. Call him. She said it would be Akeno. Yes, Butchoy. She said it would be, while taking out a magic circle near her ear. Issei, what do you want? He said seriously through the call. Akeno, Bucho is calling you, so come right away. She said it would be Issei, make it quick, he said seriously while hanging up the call. Akeno, he's coming, he said it would be. After so many minutes of waiting, Issei finally arrives at the club. Issei, and what do you want? He said seriously. Where are you? He said seriously while seeing the club all empty. There were no people. Flag. He spits blood and looks down, and sees it was the tip of a sword and looks back. Damn it, I knew they were planning something, he said annoyed. Kiba, your presence no longer matters, so die already, he said seriously while withdrawing the sword. Issei, damn it, he said seriously, you will be. He couldn't finish because he received a blow. Kaneko, shut up, she said neutrally while kicking Issei in the stomach. Rias, well done, you know Issei, I no longer need a useless person like you, so you will give me my pieces. It doesn't matter if I do it by force, she said seriously as she raises her hand and begins to remove the pieces. Issei Aarg, he screamed in pain. Ayato, shut up, your voice is bothering me, he said angrily while hitting him. Rias, guys, take care of that useless guy, she said seriously as she grabbed the pawns and began to clean them with a white cloth while they were stained red with blood. Rias's members brutally beat him, while Rias and Asia just limited themselves to watching him. After a few minutes, the group left Issei almost completely dying. Rias, Akeno, get that trash out of here, she said seriously. Akeno, yes, Bucho, she said seriously while transporting Issei to a distant place almost where there are more trees. Student Council Club. A black-haired girl who was sitting at her desk looks at the window. Sona, I have a bad feeling, she said seriously in her mind. In the forest. The dark place lights up with red light and the chestnut tree appears all wounded. There it is almost half an hour until a person arrives. Issei opens his eyes and sees a shadow of 2 people but then closes his eyes. I'll have to take him to the captain, he said seriously. There must be a reason for him to get hurt, he said seriously. In the lair of the commandments. There were 4 people, 2 girls and 2 boys, and the girls are teaching the boys how to cook. Elizabeth, you have to make an effort, Meliodas. I won't always be there to cook, she said calmly. Gilda, I say the same to you, Zel, she said with a smile. Zeldred, that's complicated, he said a little tired. Meliodas, Sate is more difficult than the battle with our old Zel, he said a little tired. Captain, he said calmly through the mind. Meliodas, What's wrong, Fraud? He said seriously. Fraudin, Captain, there is something you have to see. It is better than you see all the commandments, he said seriously through his mind. Meliodas, I will have him gathered, he said seriously. After a call with Meliodas, everyone gathered together while at the entrance you can see Fraudin and Logray entering. But not only them, but also on Fraudin's shoulder he was carrying someone. Meliodas, and what did you really want to tell me? He said seriously. Fraudin, this captain, he said seriously while carefully putting the body down. Melascula, he is, said in shock. The place was very silent, since the body they saw was nothing more than Issei, but with a wound Elizabeth, as always with a good heart, runs and heals him with her magic power. It only took a few minutes for Issei's wounds to be closed, but he still hasn't woken up. Zeldred, tell me, Fraudin, what does that mean? He said seriously. Logray, we only went to one place, but that place lit up and he appeared with those wounds, he said seriously. Elizabeth, who could have left those wounds? She said a little sadly. Meliodas, Gouter, you can do it, he said seriously. Gouter, I'll try, he said decided. Gouter stands next to Issei and his hand lights up purple as he points at his head, and a ray comes out from his finger and Issei's head. After a few minutes Gouter finishes his job and gets up. Meliodas, and that happened well, he said seriously. Gouter, I'll send them all, he said calmly as he passes through all of them with an arrow passing through each head. Elizabeth, what is that? She said surprised. Glucksina, attacking like that from behind, that's a betrayal, he said surprised. Galen, I'm not surprised by that behavior, he said seriously. Mospide, what do you mean? He said seriously. Galen, when I was in front of that brat she acted like she was superior to everyone, he said seriously. Meliodas, well, we'll wait for him to wake up, he said seriously. After a few minutes Issei wakes up but realizes that he is not in the forest where they had abandoned him. Issei, where am I? He said with little sleep. Melascula, I see you've woken up, Issei, she said calmly. Issei, Melascula, wait, where I am, he said confused. Melascula, Fraudin found you lying down, and he didn't hesitate to bring you back, she said calmly. Meliodas, Sate, I see that you have awakened, he said calmly and winged out the commandments. Zeldred, tell me why you were like that, he said seriously. Issei, I hate that damn Gremry, she only wanted power. I don't even know why she reincarnated me if I'm not useful to them, he said seriously. Everyone was silent, but one breaks the room of silence. Meliodas, okay, I've decided, he said seriously. Hey Issei, do you want to be part of a commandment? He said seriously. With what Meliodas said, everyone was surprised, even Issei, since he never imagined that. Droll, are you serious, Meliodas? He said calmly. Meliodas, if I don't joke, Issei will decide, he said seriously. Issei, how will I know that he won't betray me? He said seriously. Meliodas, this guy said seriously. Issei, he just kept watching until he decided to give his opinion. Okay, I decided I'll join you, he said seriously. Meliodas stretches out his hand and a purple orb comes out. This is the commandment of love, he said seriously. Imagine without absolute mode. Issei, I love, that's it, he said without believing it. Zeldred, his curse is that whoever feels hatred loses his strength, he said seriously. Issei, I will do it, he said seriously. Meliodas, well, get ready, he said seriously while doing a quantum, making the purple ball enter Issei. Everyone was waiting to see how strong he has become with the help of the commandment. To their surprise, Issei lets his magic power flow. Gouter, that level of power is equal to Galen, he said surprised. Issei, wow, I feel stronger, he said surprised. Meliodas, okay guys, today we have a new partner and Issei, I'm going to train you since I was the ancient commandment of love, he said seriously. Issei, yes, thank you very much and I hope to get along with you, he said while bowing. This was Issei's new life. All the commandments began to speak like his true friend. Chapter 8. The Big Problems Begin. After the brown-haired boy became part of the 10 Commandments, Meliodas trained him to be able to bear the weight of the commandments and control his darkness. Not only Meliodas but also Zeldred entered since the brown-haired boy asked that they train with the sword. A week he had already passed that the brown-haired boy trained until he decided to leave. Issei, I'll have to go, he said calmly. Frauden, you go to that school, do you really care about those things that the training does? He said calmly. Issei, well, I'll be leaving now, Frauden, he said calmly. Frauden, yes, Issei-sama, he said calmly. The chestnut goes in search of a person until he finds him. Issei, hey Melascula, would you do me favors and take me there, he said calmly. Melascula, okay, she said calmly while opening the portal. Issei, see you, he said calmly as he crossed. After the chestnut crossed the portal he realized that he arrived at the place where they abandoned him, but that no longer mattered to him, and he headed to his city. It took him a few minutes to get to a hotel and he went up to look for a room until he arrived. Issei knocks on the door. Who is it? She said calmly while opening the door. Issei, hello, is Kaicho there? He said calmly. Yes, come in, she said calmly. After the girl lets Issei pass, he arrives at the room and meets the person he was looking for. Sona, Hyadu said surprised. Issei, hello Kaicho, long time no see, he said calmly. Sona, where were you all this time? She said seriously. Issei, that's what I was going to talk about, he said seriously. You see, I'm no longer a piece of that crazy woman, she killed me herself, he said seriously. Then how are you still alive? She said seriously. Issei, well Tsubaki-san, the unknown demons were the ones who saved me, he said seriously. Sona, unknown demon, she said confused. Perhaps they are not the demons that we faced that day, she said seriously. Issei, that's right, the very stupid Gremry destroyed me like garbage, but thanks to them they saved my life and I even joined them, he said seriously. Sona, so that means we became enemies, she said seriously. Issei, no, I don't want to be your enemy. I've talked to them about you, who supported me the most, he said seriously. If I can get the captain to accept an alliance with you, he said seriously. Sona, I just hope you don't give me more problems than you give me laughter, she said seriously. Issei, well, that would be all, I have to go, and I will return to class tomorrow. I hope you don't scold me and punish me with homework, or some things, he said calmly as he leaves. Sona just stared. The next day, just as the brown-haired boy said to return to class, the girls got upset saying why the pervert came again. A member of the Gremry clan notices and did not hesitate to go tell their president. After Rias Gremry heard that news she got upset along with his brother, and they decide to go where he is forcing him to go to the club to be able to take advantage of him once and for all, that is, kill him, but the brown-haired boy just ignored it, doing both of them upset. More than a week he has passed. The brown-haired boy then sometimes went with the commandments to train, and after training he decides to go back to his hotel where Sona Sitri helped him get one. Issei was going shopping and decided to go to his new room, but on the way he felt the atmosphere very strange. Issei, what is that power? He said seriously. But even if it is weak, he said seriously. Issei, well, what are you doing here? He said surprised. Mospiat, to tell you the truth, Captain, I wanted to tell you something, he said seriously. Issei, okay, I'll go later since I want to see who that power is from, he said seriously. Mospiat, would it bother you if I went with you? He said seriously. Issei, no, on the contrary, it will be good so we can get to know each other better, he said seriously as he takes out his wings of darkness and sees his partner with his wings out. Issei and his companion went to a direction which leads directly to the academy, and sees that a barrier was just raised, and upon arriving he realizes who was putting up the barrier. Issei, Kaicho, he said seriously. Sona Hyadu, what are you doing? He said seriously. Issei, that should tell you what's going on, he said seriously. Saji, what are you doing here, you bastard? Get out of here, we don't want you, he said angrily. Sona, Genshuro, shut up, annoyed scream, what's happening? one of the leaders of the fallen angels has arrived and wants to kill us to declare war on the demons. He has already declared war on the angels because they have a dangerous weapon, a sacred sword, he said seriously. Issei, would it bother you if I helped you? He said seriously. Sona, I would like to, but I have to keep the barrier to reduce the damage, she said seriously. Issei, don't worry about that, Mospit would help me, he said calmly. Mospit, as you wish, he said calmly. They both raised their arms and created a dome of darkness, causing everyone to be surprised. Issei ready, with that we can go inside, he said seriously. Sona, how can she make a barrier with two people? That's impossible unless she has great magic power, and she's also dark, she said in shock in her mind. They all went inside until they reached the court, and saw a light that illuminated the center of the court, and there was a crazy priest, and above him was a fallen angel sitting. Rias, Sona, you were supposed to be occupying the barrier, she said seriously. Oso Citri, Seraphal Leviathan's sister, also comes in, he said seriously, and also those two guys show that he has the power of a leader and of a high class. Who is that guy? He said in his mind while looking at the brown-haired boy and the other who was pulling his jewelry. Issei, who are you? He said seriously. Jujujuju ha 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 ha, so you are brave to ask for my name. Very well, my name is Gabriel, one of the fallen angels who participated in the Great Holy War, and I hope you have fun with my pets, he said seriously while casting a spell on the ground where a large dog comes out. Everyone was surprised by the creatures they brought. Now everyone had to be serious because of the battle that had just begun. Chapter 9, Confrontation with the Fallen Angel. After Issei and his companion learned the name of that angel, creatures appeared on the ground that looked like a large three-headed dog. Rias, we have to play their dirty game very well. We will attack and you Sona stay back, she said seriously. Issei, you guys are annoying, he said seriously. Mospit, I hate to admit it, but I don't want you to be involved in that matter. If he gets angry with you, I'd rather he get angry with me, he said seriously. Mospit just shakes his head to indicate yes. Rias and her entourage are going to face the Cerberus, but they have only managed to eliminate one, but there was still more to come. Sona, we will go too, she said seriously. Issei, I'll help you too, he said seriously. Sona and her entourage fought to defeat him, but it was also difficult for them. Sabaki, Kai should be careful, desperate scream. Sona, she realizes that one of the Cerberus was about to attack her, but she no longer received the attack and sees Issei defending him. Issei, don't be careless, he said seriously as he looked at the Cerberus that was sent away, and then he goes towards the Cerberus and hits it on the head. Everyone was surprised, even the fallen man himself. Everyone was surprised that he was able to hit him hard by himself. Sona, what happened? She said surprised. Gabriel, that guy is strong. According to what I heard, he was a Gremry pawn, he said seriously. Rias, TKS, I gave you the order not to get involved, she said annoyed. Valper, here I finally finished it, he said with a smile. Kiba gets upset and tries to attack Balba but is stopped. Freed, not so fast brat, he said with a smile and pushes him. Issei, that kind of idiot really bothers me, he said seriously. Mospit, I never imagined seeing a human act that way. If he were Meliodas, surely everyone would fall before him, he said seriously while watching the battle on the roof of a building. Issei, Buck, since I'm the current commandment of love, I can't make him fall to the curse, he said a little annoyed in the mind. Kiba was battling against Freud, who even received help from the exorcist Zenobia, but it was a little difficult for him. Kiba received more support from his Gremry comrades, making him enter a balance breaker, making a sword come out with a white edge and another edge is black, making a person surprised. Valper, impossible, a combination of sacred and dark sword, that means that Pwag, at first he said in a surprised way, but then he was attacked. Gabriel, I see that you are very smart about that Balba, he said with a smile. Rias, what do you mean by that? She said seriously. Gabriel, Jojo, so they don't know. Well, I'll tell them after all, they're going to die, he said seriously. Ayato, you're just going to say stupid things. Are you afraid of me? he said proudly. Minako, that idiot doesn't know when to shut up. I regret following in your damn footsteps because of you and your parents. I fell into a path full of misfortune, she said, annoyed in her mind. Kokabeel, well, I'll tell you that in the last great war, not only did the 4 Satans die, but the biblical God also died, he said with a smile. Those who believed in the Bible most all fell into shock and began to cry while the rest just remained in shock. Ayato, who cares about that? He said seriously while showing his gauntlet. Issei, those are things of the past, Sona, there is no need to give importance to that anymore. The only thing left is to stop it before a war breaks out again, he said seriously while looking at the Citri group. Saji, who asked you for an opinion, stupid, get out, that's our problem, not yours, he said seriously. Issei, hey fallen angel, he said seriously drawing the fallen's attention, tell me one thing, did you steal the sacred sword for a reason? It's to kill the sisters of the current Maus, so that they realize that he was killed by an angel and thus declare a war, and for your part you only plan to participate in the war, isn't it like that? He said seriously. Kokabeel, Jojo, you are very intelligent, he said seriously. Issei, I didn't just say that without thinking, he said with a smile. Ayato, enough talk, I'm your opponent, he said annoyed as he was going to attack but was stopped with a sword of light. Kokabeel, you are weak, he said seriously and uses force to push him back and seize Zenobia with the intention of attacking with a sword, but he stops her with his sword. In front he sees the Gremry Knight, who also tried to attack him, but with his other hand he defends himself with another sword of light. Ha 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 ha, they are fast but they attack slowly, he said with a smile. Issei appears behind Kokabeel, which manages to hit him. Kokabeel, with his sword he stops the attack. Issei, you decide to kick him in the feet with the intention of knocking Kokabeel down. Kokabeel puts his hand on the ground to avoid falling and tries to nail him with his spear at the feet, but the brown-haired boy removes it before doing so. Everyone was surprised because he was able to give him a confrontation. Kokabeel creates several spears and attacks him. Issei, he dodges it with difficulty, causing some to stick into his body. Kokabeel, ha 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 ha, he laughs as he looks at the brown-haired boy who is injured. A spear is stuck in his thigh, another in his shoulder and another under his rib. Monspeet, I see that he still needs training to be able to follow the movement of his opponent's attack. I think Zeldred would like to be tortured again, he said in his mind seeing Issei injured. Kokabeel gives him a smile while attacking with his lightsaber, which he receives on the shoulder. Issei Arargarg, he screamed in pain. Minako Issei, she said worriedly. Ayato/Saji, you deserve it, stupid, he said with a mocking smile. Citrus, worry about their classmate at school. Kokabeel, what do you think, you like pain, he said with a smile. Issei Ararg, he kept screaming in pain, but out of nowhere he shuts up, leaving everyone speechless, and some said he died, but everything changes with someone's smile. He, that's right, Kokabeel, I enjoy the pain, but not in my body but in yours, he said at first with a smile, but then he gets serious and gives Kokabeel a tremendous blow to his stomach. Kokabeel, Fwag, spits blood. Issei, Ju, I'll have to thank Dariari for teaching me how to fight with fists, he said in his mind while remembering his old Issei with his face full of bruises and swollen, and in front of him was his friend Dariari. Kokabeel, that's funnier than the years I've spent, he said with a smile. Jujuji, you look like you're having fun, he said with a smile. Everyone looks at the sky and sees that the barrier breaks and a man in white armor enters, causing everyone to tremble in fear due to his presence except for a few. Chapter 10. A Bible meeting is coming up. Everyone was surprised as a strange voice came out of nowhere, and suddenly the dark dome that was covering the school broke. Issei, who is that guy? He could break the dark matter easily, he said seriously. Kokabeel, it's impossible, the hacker Yoku, perhaps the red dragon attracted him, he said seriously and annoyed. Kokabeel, a high-ranking fallen angel, has betrayed his leader, he said seriously. Kokabeel, I'm not going to follow that idiot who only likes to sit in a damn laboratory, he said annoyed. You're not giving me another alternative, he said seriously. Kokabeel, TKS curse, he said annoyed while going up. Die, annoyed scream while a huge spear of light comes out. Jew, he said bored, Devadii, he said calmly making his Kokabeel power go down too much. Issei, and now that the power of that fallen has dropped too much, if I receive that attack I will be in trouble, he said seriously. Kokabeel, damn you Azazel, annoyed cry while receiving the attacks of the strange subject in white armor. You're ignoring me, white man, he said seriously. Wow, you've woken up, Red, but today I don't have time for our rematch, he said seriously. White, your presence is very different, he said seriously. Red, your carrier is too weak, he said seriously, making Rias and Ayato angry. Also, my carrier wants to fight with that guy who controls the dark barrier, he said seriously, making everyone look at Issei. Issei just stares at the white armor. Okay, Red, I'm leaving, he said seriously while his bearer grabbed the crazy priest and Kokabeel was leaving. The battle to stop Kokabeel has finally ended. Sona and her entourage along with Issei retreated while Rias was upset saying that Sona and the weakling along with that strange guy in white armor had screwed up where she didn't want them to interfere with her plans. On the other hand, Issei did not do well as he was arrested by his master and trainer Meliodas. Meliodas, what's going on in your head? I told you not to get involved in their business, he said annoyed. Issei, he spits blood and says annoyed, I understand that you didn't want me to get involved in their business, but that fallen one had the intention of destroying my town where I grew up, he said annoyed. Don't you have a town that you claim to protect? He said seriously without knowing that bothered Meliodas even more. Meliodas, TKS, gets more upset and puts his hand in front of him and quickly lowers him. Issei, he gets confused but out of nowhere he falls brutally to the ground and realizes that Meliodas is crushing him with his presence. Meliodas, out of nowhere he begins to lower his power causing him to release Issei and turns around with his back to him. Do whatever you want but try not to get into trouble, he said seriously. Issei, ha ha ha, what's wrong with that damn dwarf, he said annoyed. Well, I'm leaving, he said bored. Hey Melascula, take me to the park where you called me, he said calmly. Melascula, as you wish, he said calmly as he opens a portal below the chestnut tree, causing the chestnut tree to adjust and then leaves, then closes the portal. Issei, he found his head buried in the mud with water. Fwalwag, you're going to turn off that Melascula, he said annoyed. Wow, it's my lucky day, I can finally meet you, hi to Issei, he said with a smile. Issei, who are you, he said seriously. Calm down boy, let me introduce myself, at least my name is Azazel, leader of the fallen angels, he said with a smile. Issei, so you were the one who sent that crazy bird to destroy this city, he said seriously. Azazel, you're wrong, that was Kokabeel's decision. Well, at least it wasn't, he said seriously. Issei, that's what you mean, he said annoyed. Azazel, well, the truth is that in the last battalion of the Great Biblical War, the first to retreat was the faction of the fallen angels, he said seriously. And that is the reason that Kokabeel was upset by the result of the war, he said seriously. Issei, but that doesn't hurt that one of his soldiers tried to start a war, he said seriously. Azazel, come on, you don't have to be like that, besides there is something more interesting than war, he said with a smile. Issei, let me guess, the sacred gear, he said seriously. Azazel, that's right, he said with a smile. Issei, well, I finally have to go, he said seriously. Azazel, good, I hope you're doing well. Say hello to your little friend from another world, he said with a smile. Issei, he is surprised by what Azazel said and looks back to see that there is no one. I think I'm already dead. Meliodas will kill me before explaining it, he said with fear in his mind as he walks to the house of his hateful parents and siblings. The next day at the student club. The brunette looked serious, and in front of him was Sleepy with her eyes closed. Issei, listen carefully, it says that there will be a meeting of 3 biblical factions, he said seriously. Sona, that's right, and they haven't even decided where to have the meeting yet, she said seriously. Issei, ha ha ha, who would have thought that would happen, he said seriously. Sona, well, I think it's time to go back to school. In a few minutes the parent meeting will start, she said seriously. Issei, that's annoying, he said seriously. Sona, I know and I understand you, she said nervously. Issei, what do you mean? He said in doubt. Sona, no more questions and she returns to her classroom, she said seriously and nervously. Issei, yes, he said calmly while sweat falls on his back. Issei had already left the student council room to return to his classroom where the parent meeting had already started so he could see his children during class, and that lasted almost 4 hours until the end of time came. Issei found himself walking in the hallway without imagining who he would meet again. It's been a while since I saw you, Issei, he said calmly. Issei, yes, I suppose, he said seriously. Surzex, or rather Lucifer, he said seriously. Surzex? Only Surzex is not in the underworld, he said calmly. Chapter 11, The Meeting. Issei, who was in his classes totally bored and annoyed since he could feel the gaze of his parents. Issei, damn you, how I hate life, he said seriously. A few hours passed and Issei was finally able to have some free time, but along the way he met someone he never expected. Surzex, hello Issei-kun, he said calmly. Issei, what do you want here, Lucifer, he said seriously. Surzex, come on, don't be so cold, he said calmly. Issei, you don't answer my questions, what are you doing here, Lucifer, he said seriously. Surzex, I was informed that you and a subject had participated in a confrontation against Gabriel, he said seriously. Issei, well, I don't know what you're talking about, but it wasn't me, he said nervously. Surzex, come on Issei-kun, we want you and your friend to participate in the meeting. Can you attend? He said seriously. Issei, well, I don't promise, but I'll try to see if he could go, he said seriously. Surzex, okay, Issei-kun, we'll see each other at the meeting tonight, he said calmly. Issei, now what do I do? If I go there, Meliodas will kill me. Damn you because I'm afraid of a damned dwarf, he said seriously in his mind. In the afternoon hours before the meeting, Issei was walking in the place where he met Melascula. Issei, well, I'm not always going to ask Melascula to take me, let's do it like this, he said seriously while closing his eyes. The atmosphere became completely silent as black auras appeared on the ground where Issei was stepping, which was a portal created with his own dark mass. Issei opens his eyes and sees that he was no longer in the forest, which makes him happy. Yes, I finally did it, he said happily. Kaiwia. Issei. He is surprised to hear and looks from one side to the other, even looking back which looked like a hot spring. Where did that sound come from? He said doubtfully. Kaiya. Issei looks down and notices something which makes him blush a lot. If it was Melascula but she was naked, he stares and does not hesitate to do it again and squeezes her breasts harder. Melascula, no, get out of there, screams in shame. Please. Minutes later. You see the brown-haired boy with a swollen face and in front of him were the 9 commandments silently asking what had happened. Meliodas, Sate, they really hit you hard, he said with a smile. Issei, what does it matter? It wasn't my intention. I just wanted to get there on my own, he said while crying in pain. Meliodas, well, there's something you want to say, he said calmly. Issei, if there is something I got into trouble, he said nervously. Zeldred, ha, you never get tired of getting into trouble, Issei, he said seriously while sitting eating a fruit. Issei, what if it wasn't my fault, he said with pain. Elizabeth, no problem if I heal you, Issei, she said calmly. Issei, yes, that would be very helpful, he said happily but in pain. Gloxina, well, Issei-kun, what's the problem? He said calmly. Issei, the truth is, he said nervously, the biblical facts want to talk to me along with Monspeed, he said nervously. All that, he said in shock. Issei, I'm sorry, he said with fear. Zeldred, yes you will be, he said annoyed. Meliodas, haha, it seems that little by little our entity will come to light, he said seriously. Issei, I thought they would hit me, he said without words. Zeldred, I won't hit you, I'll kill you, he said seriously while taking out his sword. Gelda, Zeldred, calm down, she said seriously. Zeldred, get scared, if Gelda is okay, he said with a little fear. Meliodas, Monspeet, you will go accompany Issei, he said seriously. Monspeet, yes captain, he said seriously. Droll, when are you going to do it? He said calmly. Issei, in a few hours, he said as if nothing had happened. Zeldred, now I'm killing him, annoyed scream. Gelda, I told you to calm down, she said annoyed while giving him a sape and making Zeldred calm down. Hours later. Issei is seen together with his companions Monspeet, and in front of them were the Alliance, which Monspeet only mentioned that he was a simple citizen in a town that is almost forgotten by the demons, and that he had hidden his power level. Well, that was an idea on the part of Zeldred, who indicated how to introduce himself. The meeting went well, and not only that, the Hakuryuku was also introduced, and even the biblical facts talked about the topic of Kokabil until they were interrupted. Issei, what happened? Why is everything frozen? He said in doubt when he saw that his companions were not moving. Vala, that was because our powers were greater than that vampires. Issei, I see, he said surprised and looks towards the window. Hey Monspeet, look at the window, he said in shock. Monspeet, what are the demons doing here? He said in a low voice that only Issei heard, and he seemed annoyed. Seraphil, what are those creatures? She said surprised. It seems that you liked my gift, he said happily. Everyone looks at that place and sees a magic circle from which a brunette girl comes out. Surzex, so all of that was planned by Kateria Leviathan, he said seriously. Kateria, what's wrong? The false kings liked my gift, she said with a smile. Seraphil, why do you do that? He said seriously. Kateria, it's very easy to eliminate the fake mouse, she said seriously. I see that there is an unexpected guest here, she said seriously while looking at the demon who was just his mustache. It's that demon, or better known as the demon from Pulling Another World, she said seriously while pointing with her spear. Everyone was surprised by what Kateria revealed. Michael, like a demon from another world, he said in doubt. Azazel, ha 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 ha, it was a topic I didn't want to talk about, he said seriously, drawing everyone's attention. I heard a rumor that strange subjects came out of the portal, indicating that they were demons from another world and possibly Monspeet was one of them, he said seriously. The room became silent like never before, while only one person was dying of fear.
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.